Alright, welcome back, friends. So it occurred to me in the last video, the one where we did, where we looked at the MetalCloak joints after 65,000 miles to see what they looked like. It occurred to me that I actually did not show you the process to rebuilding these things. So, I have one here. It's been soaking for a little bit. And that's actually key. But it's been soaking for a little bit. I figured we'd take it apart together. I'd kind of show you the rebuild process, at least on one arm, so you kind of know how it goes and you're prepared. If you are looking to replace the joints, or if you're looking to buy a MetalCloak Control arm, you'll know what to expect in years down the road to see what's going on. So real quick, some tools you're going to need. It's pretty simple. You're going to need a pretty good hammer. You're going to need a decent pair of snap ring pliers. I have this junky pair from Harbor Freight. It works. It's what I've got. I'd recommend actually getting a really good pair, probably like a 12-inch if you can. One thing about these two you have to be mindful is the holes in the snap rings are actually kind of small, and so this pair I actually had to grind the tips down on a grinding wheel to get them small enough to fit. And then if you look, they're kind of weirdly placed on which direction they are, and that's just because the way I ground them, they're not perfectly straight, so they have a little bit of a taper to them, and I'm kind of using the taper to my advantage here because the snap rings are big and they're hard. This pair is the first pair I tried from Home Depot, and it's just way too small. You can do it, but it's really hard, and I'm actually wearing the tip out completely so it no longer grabs. Let's see what else. Need penetrating oil. I'm using Aircore oil, but it doesn't really matter. PB Blaster, Aircore oil, WD-40 doesn't seem to work quite as well. Freol, whatever. Get something, throw it on the joint and the C-clip specifically, and then let it sit there for about 10-15 minutes before you go at it. You're really going to need it if your arms have been in the vehicle for any length of time, and I'll show you why. What else? What else are you going to need? Oh, a wire wheel. Believe it or not, you're going to need a wire wheel. On a grinder won't work, on anything else won't work. It's got to go in a drill, otherwise you're going to be working it by hand for a long time. And we'll go over why when we go through the whole process, why this is important. This size is what you want. I believe this is a 1-inch that just goes into the drill. It's really important. It's going to make your life so much easier. So let's move you in here. Let's take a look at the control arm. Let's get it pulled apart, and we'll go through all the steps and put it back together. Okay, here we are. Like I said, I've already sprayed these joints here just a little bit, and I've been letting them soak because these are definitely a little bit hard to get out. So let's go ahead and see if we can break this one loose. Alright, it's loose, but unfortunately, like I mentioned, because I have these placed the way they do, they don't really squeeze tight enough sometimes, so I'm going to grab these little ones and see if these will work. These ones are a bit more sketchy. They don't really hold up to the weight of the pressure of the C-clip, I should say. But they do squeeze tighter. Okay. So it looks like the C-clip is stuck on this side, so what we're going to do is we're just going to give a little tap to loosen it up, and it's loose. Great. Cool. We're getting there. Whoa! Woo! Okay. And that's why we want really good snap ring pliers and not what I have. Alright. Let's get this one out. Let's see if this one will come at all. Oh boy, that one might need extra soaking. So let's knock this guy out since I've got it. So one thing to note on the MetalCloak joints, typically the lower control, or the lower mount, the axle side mount, has 2 C-clips, and the upper mount has 1. This side's encapsulated, and you got 1 C-clip on that side. Why they do it like that, I'm not exactly sure. What's the point? It's kind of nice only having 1 C-clip, but then like this guy, if this C-clip is really frozen in there, then you're gonna have a hard time. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna basically pound this guy out. And there you go. That guy is out. And we got some washers that came out as well. And there's a snap ring still in here, which that is much easier to get out now without that joint in the way, since we can get a better purchase on it. There we go. Okay, and I have some Freol sitting in here. It's another kind of it's like PB Blaster air curl, but basically what it's doing a really good job at, there's a lot of gunk on here and it's eating that off. So it's doing a really good job on that. Okay, that one doesn't look too bad. If we look in here, see if we can show you in here, you're gonna see there's basically rubber gunk stuck in there. And it's really odd. This joint is actually pretty clean, to be honest. Some of the other ones are way worse. But the only way to get that out is to wire wheel it out. It's really, really tough. Essentially what's happening is the joint, and this joint looks like it wasn't doing, it's getting ready to go. Essentially the rubber joint is actually like welding itself to the metal. And it's really hard to get out there. I've tried like normal wire brushes. I've tried soaking them in various different compounds overnight. I've tried scrubbing them with like really small scrub brushes because they're easier to get in there. Tried all sorts of things, and this is by far the best. Even that takes a little bit of time to do. But let's see if we can get this one out of here. We'll see what this one looks like and see if it's any better or worse. We'll have to get in here, dig these out. There we go, that one came out. Okay, now let's hammer this guy out. Oh, this guy's way harder. Yeah, that's gonna be a better example. Throw our next washer in. Let's take a look at this joint. Well, to be honest, that joint doesn't look quite so bad. Probably didn't have to replace that one quite yet, but that's okay. Needed to be done. So, go ahead and pop this washer out. Now these washers are actually important. There's 2 ways they go, and we'll go over that when we actually rebuild it. The rebuilding of this joint is very, very easy as far as putting it all back together. It's just the cleaning. It's basically the cleaning. Okay, let's take a look at this guy. I'll try to get you in here. So you can see there's a lot more gunk in this one, but it's that rubber that's in there. Well, hold on. Let me get you in frame. I can do it. I can do this. Let's see. Can you see in there? Let's see. There. I think you can see in there now. See that? That black gunk in there that's wiping around? That's hard. Really hard plastic. And that hard, or rubber, I mean. That hard rubber from the joint compound is really stuck on there. Really, really bad. You really have to go at these things. Here's an even better chunk. See if we can get you to see that guy. Let's see here. Can you kind of see that in there a little bit? Right here. Those bigger pieces, and some of these that I've been pulling apart, the entire inside here is coated in nothing but this rubber, and I really have to hammer on the joint to get it out. Needless to say, the joint was completely shot, but it took a lot of cleanup. This one actually looks like it's not going to take very much cleanup comparatively. So let's chalk it in the vise and clean it up, and I'll show you how to do that part of it. You might be able to see this now, but there is definitely lots of junk sitting in here, and when we go to wire brush it, you're going to see quite a lot comes out. So best way to do this is to take your wire brush on your drill and just start going at it. I gotta tighten my vise up a little bit. Okay. See this? That right there is all just rubber that's actually embedded itself on the metal that we're getting rid of. Okay, we are done with that part. That is all nice and clean. There is, again, just some of the rubber stuff that came out of there. And you saw how hard I was going at that, so if you want to do this by hand, you are more than welcome to, but that stuff did need to come out of here, otherwise it'll make installing the new joint not only rough, but probably the new joint won't last as long since it's not going to be lubricated correctly. Okay, I'll finish the other side off camera, but now I want to show you the next step in cleaning everything up, and that is separating this half. Since I'm doing a full adjustment here, I can do this and not have to worry about it, but I need to separate these halves and then clean up some other few parts. So let's separate this and then clean it up. So I got all my C-clips and washers here. I got one of my ends here, and the nut and the rest of the control arm is sitting there. The nut and the control arm we are going to wire wheel out with this brush on our drill to make that easy. Makes really quick work, simple. And then everything else we're going to actually straight up wire wheel. The reason for this is because, take this C-clip for example. This C-clip is very, very cruddy looking. It's not necessarily like rusted, because I do coating on all my stuff, but it's cruddy, and that can do two things. One, it can make it hard to put back together because now you're putting a C-clip that has junk all over it in a very tight fitting groove. And then also, if you leave all the stuff on here, it's just going to make it harder to get apart next time. So you might as well clean it all up while you have the chance. So let's go on and flip this on. Oh, and check this out. For those of you who commented on one of my welding videos when I was grinding bars without a face shield, I now have a face shield. So we're going to be safe. Let's get into it. Okay, we are all cleaned up and ready to put this all back together. Our washers are all nice and clean, and our C-clips are all nice and clean. So we are now ready to go. New joints and everything. Another thing you'll get if you buy a few joints, or if you buy like the whole entire kit, you're going to get some of this lithium grease. I believe it's lithium grease. They tell you what it is on the website, but you need it to put these together, and that's it. You can't use regular grease on this stuff. Apparently it'll destroy these bushings, so just for warning, don't use regular grease. It doesn't work. But okay, so here's what I do. I cleaned up all the threads, so we're going to use a healthy dose of this anti-seize, and I know I'm putting a lot on here. It's on purpose. I know you only need a little bit, but I am doing this because these arms are probably not going to come apart for quite a long time, and at some point these can wash away over time. So by doing this, by throwing a little extra on there, in my mind anyway, it doesn't hurt. The stuff's pretty cheap. Even this expensive stuff that I have, it lasts forever. I don't have a problem throwing a little bit more in there just to help protect these. So we got some there. I'm going to also throw some in here, just a little bit. All right. And let's go. Actually, I believe that goes that way. Okay, these two pieces are together now. We're all good. I don't have a distance set. We're going to put all the joints together, measure, and set the distance that I need. So this side is captured. Like I said, it only uses a C-clip on one side. So this needs a washer. And I like to throw a little of this grease, obviously in the bore here, but also I kind of like to rub it around on the washer. I just feel like it helps prevent seizing, and when I put things together, it helps keep the joint safe. So these are kind of interesting though. So you actually have a smooth beveled side, and then you have a more rough flat side. The smooth beveled side goes towards the joint. So if you have these, the smooth side goes towards the joint, the sharp side doesn't. I know it's a little odd because they're not super sharp, but the smooth side goes towards the joint. That's simply so it doesn't tear the joint up. Okay, so that goes in there. Next thing, we're going to lube this joint up. And we do not want any of that anti-seize in there. Now, I remember something about these channels, like you're supposed to get a little grease in those channels. That's what they're there for. I just kind of go through and get what I can in them. And just make sure the joint is greased. All right, let's put this together now. Some of my arms are tighter than others, so like some of them I can actually push it in by hand. This one, it seems like I'm gonna have to use a little bit of a hammer to get it in there, to get it started at least. There we go. All right, now what we're gonna do is we are going to put this next washer in. And again, we're gonna put the bevel side down, like so. And then we're gonna get a snap ring. The snap ring also has two sides. It has a more flat side and more bevel side. I put the flat side towards the washer. I don't know if you're supposed to or not. Okay, that is done, and then I like to take a little punch, just give a little tap. Okay. All right. I like to do the taps because it just makes sure the ring is seated all the way. Now we're gonna do this side. So this one's a little bit different because it doesn't have a shoulder or anything, so we have to put a C-clip in here to start with, otherwise the joint will just shoot out the other side. So there's the machined flat surface, and this side is not, or I don't know if it's machined, but it's a more flat surface. So I'm going to stick this in here first. All right. And then I'm actually going to use a punch to push that down into its groove. Okay, that's in its groove. Then we're going to throw another washer in there. Flip that over. Throw in our washer, and again, the smooth side goes towards the bushing. Lube up our bushing. All right, and then we're going to get this in here. And you can see that one was a bit easier to start. All right, one more washer. Make sure it's seated, one more washer, and then we're going to put the C-clip in. Actually, I'm going to get a little bit of grease on that C-clip. Doesn't need a lot. I just use what's left over on my fingers from wiping things around. I think that's good enough. I'm just trying to prevent them from seizing in there, and I think that'll help. All right, and now when you get to this stage, don't be concerned that you can't get in with the C-clip pliers. I have a hard time getting them in one shot, so what I do is I get them in like that where they're safe and not going to pop out, and then I just take a little punch and I just tap. Pop it in just like that. All right. Perfect. And now we've just rebuilt a MetalCloak control arm. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to measure it to the length that I need. For me, that's going to be 16 inches. The reason that is because of the lift height. I have a 2.5-inch lift kit. I need to set this to 16 inches, and I've already kind of figured that out. I'll actually throw up a cool chart on screen right now. You could take a look, and that's kind of generic numbers to start with, but essentially the way you're going to set these is whatever lift height you have, you just want to center the axle in the wheel well, at least on a TJ. So for me, that's about 16 inches. So let me grab a tape measure, and then we'll do that. All right, so there we have it. This control arm is ready to go back in the Jeep. There you have it. There is how to rebuild a MetalCloak control arm. It's really not too difficult, but one reason why I wanted to make this video is because the videos that you see of these companies doing this work, they're using brand new parts. So like, and I'm not picking on MetalCloak, just using them as an example. Their video that shows you how to rebuild these control arms or build the control arms when you first get them is using brand new parts. So of course it's easy. And yeah, it is very easy. When I first put the lift kit on, I had to put the snap rings in and everything and put the joints in, and it is extremely easy. Everything's brand new. It fits together well. There's no gunk to deal with. It's not grimy. It's not dirty. So of course it's very easy. But once you start having parts that have been on a rig for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and you pull them off, things change, right? Things are worn, things are really grimy, things are dirty, you've got rust to deal with, you've got maybe corrosion, all sorts of stuff that you have to deal with. And so that changes how you attack something. And I wanted to make this video just to kind of show you my process for attacking these and maybe give someone a little insight to what they're going to expect if they own a set of these, or if you're going to buy a set of these, or if you have to rebuild yours, what that process could entail if you use your rig like I do. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Like it if you liked it, hit the comments below and let me know what you think about my process for rebuilding these, MetalCloak joints in general, how you think everything has held up. I think these control arms are incredibly strong. Not that other companies aren't, but I really have actually beat these up. Here, you could probably see some of the scratches, if I can hold this here. You can actually see some of the scratches and stuff. That's all from rock crawling and sliding on these things, and you can even see where I tear into it when I put it in the vise and stuff. So they're holding up just fine. And honestly, MetalCloak, if you're watching or if someone else knows where you can get the coating that they put on these, I really like them because clearly that's not rust. I haven't cleaned these. That's straight from underneath the vehicle. I don't clean any of them. I pull them out and put them back in. That's all I'm doing. But there are a few control arms that coating is getting pretty dull, and I would like to clean and recoat or repaint. So if you guys know where to get that, or MetalCloak if you're watching, if you know where to get it, let me know in the comments below. I'd be very interested in doing that. Might be a few other parts I want to spray this stuff on. So, all right, with that, it's time to end the video. Thank you guys for watching so much. I really appreciate every single one of you. Hit the comments below, let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next video.